late start to go testing. It's 10:30, got like an hour and 15 in the truck, plus I got to do fueling and all that stuff. So waiting for things to warm up a little bit. It's currently like 10 degrees. It was, what did I think, 2 earlier, something like that. I don't need to be testing, turning knobs and messing around with all that when it's that cold. Gotta go ahead and get this thing fired in the trailer. The truck's warming up right now. Got the old Ford singing away. Off we go. About 5-ish minutes away from the parking lot here. Hoping it's not incredibly busy. I know a lot of people are still trying to get out for their first ride and stuff, so it may be kind of packed in here. It also may be relatively empty because I know this late in the season, a lot of people are going to want their first ride to be good, so I think a lot of people headed way up north to Island Pond again. So hopefully this Groton parking lot here isn't too bad, but we'll find out in a few minutes and go from there. Oh yeah, tons of room. Wow. Love to see it. Actually, let's do this number. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Whoa, oh, sticky. Parking lot's not bad. It is all of 5 degrees at most. Yep, 5. Cold. I don't like riding when it's cold. I'm a fair weather, no, can't say fair weather rider, but definitely not into it when it's like 5 and down. That's just not for me. I feel like it takes the fun out of it. You can't really stop and hang out and talk very well. If something goes wrong, you're really screwed. So not the best to be out here 5 degrees by myself testing, but there is 10 trucks and trailers in here. So chances of people coming back as I'm kind of going out or while I'm out and about is pretty good if I end up having an issue. Yeah, I'm going to take my time in here getting gear ready and camera on the helmet and all that stuff where it's nice and warm, and then hopefully just kind of hop out of the truck and on the snow. While this thing's warming up, if you didn't get to see the previous video about me getting it set up and ready for testing today, we got the front shock shortened 1/2 inch, and then I added the cross-country spindle, which brings it back up 1/2 inch, so my overall bumper height is about the same as before, but we corrected a little bit of our front end geometry going on here. Rear shock's completely revalved and rebuilt. Same front track shock spring setup, dual rate. Rear, I went to 1 light duty, or before I had both light duty torsion springs. Now I've got 1 light duty and 1 standard. I've got them turned up a little bit right now. I'm curious to see how they go. 2-inch cross-country rear shock in it now with high-low compression and rebound. High-low compression on the front track shock. And then the fronts, as you can see, have the KYB triple adjusters, rebound on the shaft. So we got 4 adjusters to work with, plus the spring preload. So a lot of possible adjustments today. Oh boy. Wow, we're rolling bad. Tipping big time. Oh my God. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the low speed, it's just rolling right over into that shock like crazy. I'm gonna stiffen that up a little bit. Holy pecker. I forgot about the power of this thing after riding the 650 for so long, you know? Wow, that rear feels pretty good already. I mean, I'm gonna have to make some tweaks, but just for baselining it all, it's pretty sweet. I'm gonna try, first off, a bunch of clicks into the low speed compression.
I end up killing it so I can hear the clicks better, because the KYB triple adjust detents aren't very strong, but you have a good audible clicks. Let's do this. Let's put... Where's our low comp? This guy. Wow! Let's speed up our rebound 2. Let's try that. Let's see. Let's take 1 out of our RTS low speed. And then let's do 2 out of the low. We'll do 1 out of the low on the front track shock. Off we go again. That's better. It's not perfect, but it's better, so it's a step in the right direction at least. Yeah, it's actually a lot better. Maybe not. Just look at that. Jeez. Like, it's not bad, but it's not what I'm looking for, so I got some work to do on the front. Alright, we're making headway here. I made one other batch of adjustments off camera here. These fronts are very, very different than they were before. Crazy the difference. That felt pretty good. I'm not going to go crazy on that. Let's do 2 more in this. 2 more in this. The back is a whisker firm, but it's really good. It is night and day better than before. But it's still just a touch firm, so I'm going to try here to do 1 out of the high. Okay. Got that. And another 1 out of the high on this, which is going to be this way, right? Counter. Yep. There. Let's try that. Oh, that's way better. Yep, we got it with the shock right there. We'll see at speed if it sets in, but right now the shock is holding it up like I wanted to. It's not just rolling right into that compression stroke. It's kind of sitting up top a little bit. So let's take the tighter trails. Go to the lookout quick. This is a totally different sled now than before. This is wild. The lookout's not going to be that great because of a little bit of snow we got coming in, but oh, there's someone at the camp. That's cool. I didn't know anyone was using that anymore. For the last, I don't know how many years, that thing has just kind of been not in action. But people at it now. That's awesome. Oh yeah, the shock's holding it up. We're getting a little bit of lift there, like off camber-y kind of deal, but that's no biggie. Alright, the high speed is a touch firm now on those fronts, coming down off of that little riser there. So I might be able to bring the high back out with those 2 clicks, but leave the 2 in the low. Now the shock can't set in at all, and it's pushing a bit. And then it kind of grabs, yeah. Alright, we got some work to do. I gotta turn the rear torsions down a whisker too. Oh, wait a minute. I'm an idiot. I never reset my front track shock preload after I got the limiter straps assembled, so it has a ton of spring preload right now in the front track shock. Oh, that's gonna suck. Alright, I gotta go back to the truck and mess with that. Yep. Alright, that's probably some of the problem here. We're pivoting all around. I can kind of feel it when I get on and off throttle. It's just kind of rocking around on that. That sucks. Alright, I realize I don't have my jack or anything with me, so I'm going to drive this thing. I need to get, obviously, all the tension off the front track shock, so I'm going to drive it up onto the ramp just right, so that the front comes up, loads the tail, hopefully the front can droop down. Make sure our limiter is as tight as it can be. Yep, let's see. I like that. I got a bunch of stuff to do here. Made a bunch of changes, took both torsion springs down one setting. If you haven't seen my overview build video thing on this, I have Skidoo torsion adjusters in there, so they have the 5 positions instead of just the traditional 3. So the standard torsion spring is down on position 1, and the light duty is on position 2. Couple clicks out of each shock, added a click to stiffen and slow the rebound on the rear shock a little bit. Added 4 turns of preload per ski shock, pulled a like 4 or 5 turns out of the front track shock. Some damping adjustments up front on the clickers. Those I just kind of do 1 or 2 at a time and see how it feels, and then kind of just keep bouncing around until I end up where I want. And I kind of make multiple at the same time to try and get closer off of one adjustment, as opposed to doing one, riding it, stopping, one, riding it, stopping it, whatever. The brake has come right into it. We've got the ample travel, the pistons pulled back appropriately, so that's good. Yeah, the groomer came in here. They're all zipped up. Yep, we're good to go. These new Castle X ones, even though, oh my God, how are we rolling that bad? Jesus. Well, let's at least get up to speed and see how it is. It might be better. I don't know. We'll find out. But that's why I'm out here doing this by myself and not ruining a whole day's ride with a bunch of buddies. All right, the rear is definitely better. But the rear is kind of the simple one when you don't have a ton of... Oh yeah, the rear is way better. Yeah. The front feels good at speed here. Boy, was I nervous at first back there, though. Yeah, front's definitely better with the extra spring in it. It's just going to be dampening because there's so much softer on the valving. Yeah, that's not good. Can't be having that right there. I know the snow is a little bit goofy. It's like it's groomed and there's a base, but the base isn't incredibly firm, if that makes sense, because the snow that we got is so light and airy. I'm not talking as much now because I'm really trying to focus on what I'm feeling and all these shocks and the chassis balance as a whole. I can't really speed up the front rebound anymore because off of the big hits it comes back pretty good. So I can't really use the shock rebound to hold it up much more. But the high-speed compression of the front shock is definitely a whisker soft. When I come off a little rise, it kind of travels in pretty good. So I can bump that up a couple. But I mean, all in all, like, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm just being picky because of who I am. The rear is a touch firm on the front track shock. The rear feels pretty good, but I haven't had a chance to really get the weight off of the front and drive the middle of the skid into some bigger bumps. So until I can do that, I'm not really going to mess with the rear shock too much more or the torsions, but the front track shock I can definitely play with a little bit. But it's good. I mean, it's, yeah, high comp up front needs to go up. We'll try like 3 clicks. The front is just not currently as confidence-inspiring as the 650. All right, it's chilly, but it's not too bad out here. Taking a little break at this road crossing here. We got some wind blockage. The front is fighting me like crazy. The big issue I'm running into now, since we softened the shock, it's sitting deeper into its stroke. And what is happening here is on the crossover shim, on the crossover here, we're very, very close to the actual crossover from our soft rate to our stiff rate. So what's happening is as soon as this thing starts to body roll, it can't really even set onto the sway bar and load the bar because it's hitting that super stiff 150 pound spring here. So what I probably am going to end up having to do is pull this crossover stack out and shorten it so that I can get a little bit more set in and hopefully come onto the sway bar instead of that 150 pound spring. I'm trying to work around it with the shock valving right now, but it's proving to be quite difficult. There's not a lot of me obviously riding and talking about it because that camera battery, even though they're the enduro batteries, are not liking this cold. I got like maybe 20 minutes of continuous footage total and it's just dead already. While I'm here, I'm going to basically start over on my front track or my ski shocks because I've been kind of starting to chase my tail with them a little bit. So I'm going to take these all back to full soft, try a different baseline, and then go from there. I've got the rear dialed in really good. As usual, Andy's valving is spot on in the back of this thing. I'm a little bit softer on my high speed than I would have thought I would be, but I can't really complain about that. It's riding really good, really plush in the back. The improvement in the rear is everything I was looking for. So we're good to go on the back. A couple small tweaks. I went back up on my torsion springs. I ended up going to go back down. So I went up stiffness, started at 2 and 3 on the torsion block adjuster, went down to 1 and 1, and then I went back up to 2 and 3, and now I'm going to put the standard one down on 1 and leave the other one up on 3. We're working on it.
Whoa, they changed this again. So I have an all new baseline. I reset the front shocks completely, took them all down to soft, started over again. Oh, that actually is feeling pretty good. Sometimes that's what you need to do. You end up just chasing your tail, going in one direction. Oh, that feels nice. That's actually not too bad. It's interesting as I'm filming this stuff and learning, like I'm talking my way through my thought process, and even 30 seconds later it's changing, right? So it's interesting because I'm like, oh, I'm going to change springs, but now I'm like, hey, actually this isn't too bad. I might be able to just take, you know, 3/16 or 1/4 of an inch off of that crossover shim and get enough set in on the corners so that it loads the sway bar. Because this is feeling really nice. The back is still, I gotta take, oh yeah, this is sick. High speed comp on the front ski shocks can go up. I'll do that right now. It traveled a lot. I think it might have contacted the bump stop there. A ways up is one of my favorite sections, and then past it a bit, it usually gets pretty rough. So let's see how we do. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I might be able to put another click or two into that high speed. Just when it comes down off of those, it's a little bit hard. But again, it's a 150 pound rate that we're pretty much sitting on almost all the time now. This rear is impressive now. Yeah, that rear is crazy. That's cool. The front's actually coming into it really good too. Oh, that's it. Yeah, I keep forgetting. Before I try spring rate, I'm going to shorten that crossover a little bit. Not a lot, but enough. But this section up through here is just so nice. Look at this. And this is usually the changeover where it starts to get really rough. I'm going to take one click of high out of that rear shock. Oh boy, she's icing up under here big time. I hate doing this. Sorry, Andy.
There we go. Yeah, we're coming into it. This is sick. Let's go. Like I said, man, sometimes all it takes is just that reset. Just take everything back to full soft, start over. These new HD pads are really pretty good. I'm not, I honestly can't say I'm noticing a huge difference between this and the 650 in terms of the feel in the lever. The 650 definitely slows down and changes directions faster, but it is probably close to 80 pounds lighter overall. The assaults are just kind of heavy, and then you add the boost and all that stuff. This thing's got a lot more mass to try and stop and go and turn and just change directions with. So while this thing does have a bigger, longer track, right, you would think the braking would be better, but in snow like this that isn't incredibly set up in terms of really hard base, it's not really unexpected that this doesn't seem to be stopping as well. You just have more mass to try and slow down, and when it's not gripping up crazy well, that's what happens. You feel like you slide a little bit more. I have heard these pads on really light pressure make a little bit of a pad squeal, so they definitely have more metal in them, which is what I kind of am looking for. They should hold up. Oh, a little kitty. And by kitty, I mean mole. Should hold up a little bit better to extreme heat when this thing really starts getting worked up an island pond and places like that. This might be the best I've ever ridden this section in several years. Wow. Yeah, situations like that where you kind of have compressed the shock and you're onto that 150 main, and then you hit another bump with the inside, it just wants to come right up because there's no travel left before. I mean, you're already on that stiff spring, so there's nowhere else for it to go, and it's not exactly loaded on the sway bar yet, just because there isn't a lot of body roll to really get onto that bar. Just the braking forces alone, when there's only a quarter of an inch before that crossover contacts and shifts to 150 pounds, when you get on the brakes like that and the front dives forward, you're on your 150. So as soon as you start to turn, you're already there. You hit a bump on the inside, it's just going to come up. There's no extra droop. Yeah, that's the best that section has been in years. Good job, clubs. Bunch of rigs here. This is awesome to see. All these little towns need it, man. I think I may have gotten a little bit too aggressive with my ski shims this time around. It doesn't feel like the front, like that Navigator, is really doing too much. I've got two in it now. I'll probably take one of them out and go back out and try that with the crossover trimmed up and see how that is. Ooh, yucko. It needs just that whisker more travel at that initial rate before hitting that crossover. The rear skid though is incredible now. Andy, hell of a job, brother. Woo! Oh, this thing's sick. God, this thing's awesome. Woo! Woo, doggy! Yeah, those HD pads are pretty sick now that they're broken in. The front is so close too. Whoa, whoa, damn boy, some big old holes in there, huh? Shoo! Man, that speed, this thing is incredible. What a cold day. How many
gonna eat a pepperoni stick here. Vermont Smoking Cure, okay? A lot of good testing done. Very happy with everything overall. Andy's valving and all that, and the rear stuff is incredible. The front, like I've said, I'm beating a dead horse here. I gotta try and trim that crossover and get a little bit more set in, and hopefully it'll come up on the bar and actually load that bar now. But at speed and the high speed winding stuff, it's really flat and really good. It's just certain scenarios off camber, or if you're slowing down and you're really loaded on the front and kind of digging that ski in, it just comes onto that mainspring a little bit too soon and just kind of lifts up from there. Even though the other side has tons of droop, it's just not cutting it. I'll play with that a good bit up front. All in all, pretty happy. But yeah, thanks for coming and riding along. Till next time.